Well, greetings everyone and welcome back to the Knowledge Hub at Beauty Tech Live. I'm Martin Moody, the founder and chairman of the Moody Davitt Report, partner with BW Confidential in this inaugural event. Now, technology and beauty is not confined, of course, to products. Digital technology lies increasingly at the heart of commerce, of communication, and of training. And it's those three areas that we're going to focus on in this session, which is specifically zeroing in on the travel retail channel, such a core channel for beauty products in terms not only of revenue, but of visibility. So it's my pleasure now to kick off this session by introducing our first guest. Stephane Zermatten is a partner at CircleSquare, an international agency which describes itself as a global network of creative people brought together by a shared ambition to create engaging, people-centric brand experiences. The company is particularly active in travel retail. They're a leading player synonymous with crafting, curating, and executing high-class digital, physical, and omni-channel experiences. CircleSquare has offices in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, Shenzhen, Paris, and very recently opened in the travel retail hotspot of Hainan. And we're going to talk about all those aspects of that people-centric brand experience and a whole lot else besides. So, Stephane, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for having me. Very pleased to be here and part of this beauty tech event.
Well, Stephane, we've got a lot to talk about, so we're going to kick off. We hear a lot about the O2O journey, don't we? It's really one of the buzz phrases of brand communication parlance in recent times. But how, in your mind, do we define that journey? What's the key to successful consumer engagement along that journey?
Yeah, very good question, Martin. Thank you. I think I should kick off with what I said to most of my clients, right? When you talk about defining an omni-channel customer journey, the first thing is to forget about the channels. The name is misleading, omni-channels. Forget about the channels and focus on people. And I think this is really very important, to be customer-centric. So everyone wants to be customer-centric, or to some extent thinks they are customer-centric, but I believe it requires some quite big changes within the companies and the way people think in companies to really truly be customer-centric. And the reason is that companies are traditionally built in silos, right? You would have a team for e-commerce, a team for digital, a team for store design, a team for merchandising, PR, whatever. And it's really complicated to have all of these teams work together very seamlessly. When you focus not on the channel, but on the people, then you can start to have a proper vision of all of these teams working together, right? So in more concrete terms, how do you work on an O plus O customer journey? I would say that the first step really is the overarching concept, right? The whole storytelling that you're going to have for your activity, whether it's a product launch, whether it's a new entry in the market, and so on. But you need to come up with this overarching concept that's going to be the backbone of the conversation you will have with your customers. Then you can define your types of customers, your persona, as we call them, which are the segment of customers. You can use data. These days, there's a lot of data available, and you can use data to define all the different customer journeys for each one of your segments, and then the content strategy to be delivered at each one of the touch points to have this conversation with them along the way of their journey.
A really important point you make about forgetting channels and focusing on people. So everything starts and, if you like, ends with the customer. A really key point. Taking that customer-centric approach, Stephane, let's look at the role of digital touch points on the one hand and physical on the other, and the role that each plays and how they converge. How do you see that? I know it's a big subject, but it's one close to your heart.
Yeah, it is, because again, exactly like you said, Martin, when you talk about an O plus O customer journey, that includes digital and that includes physical, right? So I would say the first thing is to start looking at what digital does best and what physical does best, right? There's no point replacing by digital what physical does better, or by a physical experience what digital does better. So this is the first point. And I think when you look at the customer journey, the obviously reaching customers and starting to target them and getting them into your brand world is a lot easier done online with all of the data that we have, all of the social media, all of the different digital marketing means that we have. So you can actually get them into your brand world in a much easier way. But then you have to look at shopper missions. And I think, with the advent of digital first or digital dominant, people have kind of started to forget about the importance of the physical retail. So this is why, for me, you really need to make sure you look at the different missions. Since the pandemic, there's a lot of people who are very much used to using e-commerce now, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been stuck at home, so it's very easy. You can order everything. You're used to doing it, and I'd say this is a mission that is the mission of replenishment, or the mission of convenience, is something that is served extremely well by any e-commerce or social commerce means. But we tend to forget a little bit about what I call the discovery mission. And the discovery mission is about new products, right? When you want to purchase a new product, and it's very important for brands. There's always new products launches, right? New products, new brands, and so on. And the best example I can give you is Martin, would you online purchase a new perfume that you've never smelled before? It's very complicated. You need the physical experience for this, right? So that's why I'm saying you need to focus on the shopper mission. What does digital better than the physical retail? And that is the convenience, the replenishment mission. And then what does the physical retail better is the experience when you want to discover a new product. So it is important to look at all of these physical touch points as the experiential ones, as the ones who are actually offering you something that you can't get when you're sitting down at home in your couch with your cell phone.
Yeah, that's interesting. Bain & Company, who we worked with a lot recently on the Trinity white paper, they talk a lot about this almost forced acceleration of e-commerce across age groups, across geographies, across the world. And yet, your point that you made at the end there is so important. Physical retail offers elements that digital can never, and they're all around the senses, as you say, around smell and taste and feel and so on. So I want to push you a bit, Stephane, on the role that physical retail now plays. You're certainly not of the mind that physical retail is going to be killed off in any way.
No, definitely not. I think retail has, the physical side of retail still has a very, very important role to play in, like I said earlier, mostly in the discovery mission. But when you look at this, yes, there's this rise of e-commerce, there's this rise of dominant digital. But all that means is that your physical retail, the role of your physical retail, of your stores effectively, need to change. You can't have the same stores as before. If the convenience mission is done online, there's no need to have all of your stores that just cater to this need, right? So product availability is not anymore one of the main mission of your stores. This is covered by any form of e-commerce. But when you look at the role of a store, for me, there's two main roles that remain extremely important. One is the flagship, right? It's the flagship experience. So it's the place where you go and you're wowed with the brand. You live an experience that you absolutely cannot live online or on any form of online. That might be linked to the online experience, right? You might be interacting with the store with your phone or with a mini program or whatever, but the physical experience of it is something you can't get online. And you don't need to have many of these experiential stores because of these flagship stores, because people are happy to travel a little bit more for a personalized experience and also for something they can't live online. And then I think there's another side of it that is also has a lot of future now in the new normal economy, is the pop-up, right? Yeah. Because the pop-up is a great way of testing products, of testing customers, of testing everything without the need of investing in a 3-4 year lease contract and so on. So there's less capex, is really a lot easier. So this makes sense on a domestic market, but it also makes sense in travel retail, right? Because when you look at travel retail, for me, the airport of the future, I would say, in travel retail, when it comes to retail, it would be a collection of experiences, a collection of pop-ups, because you don't really, again, the convenience, the bottle of gin that you always purchase when you travel, and your pack of cigarettes and the perfume you always wear and you want to get it in duty-free when you travel, you don't need to go in a store to do this. Again, the convenience mission can be sorted out by digital means. But then all of the new products, all of the product discovery is something that is extremely important. And of course, and you know this better than most, Martin, is that travel retail is a very special place. People are on a holiday mood. They're open to be entertained. They're open to the experience. So what better place for brands to actually engage with people in physical experiences and to use the space that they have in travel retail to actually not so much sell the products, but make people live something they can't live anywhere else. But that means also when you think about selling less in the physical space and maybe selling more online, that means that you start looking again at coming back to the role of physical retail. The role of the store changes also in terms of perception. You need to think about it also a bit less as a transactional touch point, but maybe more as a media, right? Because this is for customer recruitment, is to give customers something they can't get in any other channel. What
Eugene Barry at Dubai Airport calls with an acronym WACD, what Amazon can't do. And I think that's absolutely right. You have these beautiful theaters that are international airports, great international airports today, or great downtown shops, as you see in Haitang Bay in China, with a fantastic space and room and architecture to create that experience that you're talking about. Well, let's take it from there, Stephane, to coming back to the roots of this event. Beauty Tech Live is, of course, all about the convergence of beauty on the one hand and technology on the other. Now, how do you see the use of tech in retail?
That's a really interesting one. I think tech, you can't get around from using tech, right? And there are some amazing tools out there, especially when you start to use these tools to personalize the experience, right? You can imagine experiences like you and I get together in front of the same shop window or in front of the same activation, and when we pull out our phones, what we see in augmented reality is a completely different experience, because we're different people with different preferences. There's all kinds of really interesting things that can be done with tech, but I think what one has to be careful of, really, and we see this with some clients, with the way we receive briefs sometimes, is that some people tend to want to use tech for the sake of the tech, right? So the brief comes with, I want to use virtual reality, or I want to use augmented reality. But sometimes it doesn't make sense to do this, right? Again, I'm coming back to the beginning of this interview. For me, you start with the people, right? You focus on people. So you define what the journey is, you define what your story is going to be and how you want to tell your story. And then for each one of the touch points, there's going to be some tech to use. And maybe it's really high tech, maybe it's something really futuristic, but maybe it's very low tech, because sometimes the old fashioned tricks of having someone talk to you, just a human touch, a human experience, is sometimes what works best. So again, to answer your question, the use of tech is necessary. You need it. People are expecting really to have experiences that are augmented, right? Plus, it helps you gather more data, deliver the right content to the right people, personalize the experiences, and so on. But again, the mistake would be to start with the tech and not start with the people.
All right, a very, very salient point. Good one to hear, actually, in a world that's become so virtual as we are today, so digital, that humanization still counts so much. But you talked about tech and touch points. To wrap up, Stephane, how does tech help all these touch points in terms of working together?
Yeah, I think I'm going to come back to the customer-centric approach, right? I'm going to come back to the fact that it's all about people and it's all about the customer. So tech is great because it helps you personalize the experience, right? It is for me a kind of a content delivery, we're delivering more content and more personalized content to have a better experience. And this could be online and offline, by the way. It doesn't have to be only online. And then on the other side of it, the great use of tech is that it helps brands gather data about who their customers are, which is extremely important in travel retail, as everyone in the channel knows, because data has always been a bit of a taboo world, and there's not much data, at least for the brands, to play with. So it is important to start getting this data and start to understanding the customer, so then we can offer more personalized experience. And again, this is a virtuous circle, right? The more data you have, the more personal the experiences, the more you're going to be engaging with people and get more data. So this is for me something that where the tech really is helping. And I think on the back of this, in more concrete words, I think online is fairly, on the digital side of it, it's fairly simple to understand where tech is helping, because everyone is kind of doing it at the moment, or at least trying to do it at the moment. It's easy to get the data and to personalize the experiences, right? Because everything you do online, whether you want it or not, leaves a trace, and someone's looking at this trace to find out how to personalize your experience. But where I see a good opportunity, and I think this is very much in line with the topic of the conference today, is that tech is also a lot about the physical store, right? The physical retail point. Because again, when you're online, everything you do on an e-commerce or whatever touch points from the brand online, they are recorded. We understand the profile of the customer, what they like, the behaviors and so on. But on the contrary, when you go in a physical store, you could spend half an hour interacting with the staff in the store, playing with products and so on. And then you leave because your flight is coming up or a friend's calling you. And then you're no one for the brand, because you haven't been interacting with any touch points where what you've done has been recorded. So now there are ways to integrate within the physical point of sale the right tech to make sure we record also the customer journey and customers' behaviors and preferences and so on in the physical point of sale. So then you can start matching all of this, and then you can really use all of this as a true omni-channel customer journey, because you have the data of what people are doing online, you have the data of what people are doing in a physical space, and when you put all of this together, you can really actually start to personalize the experience and make sure people have something that is personalized for them, but also really engaging and memorable, and at the end of the day drives more conversion, obviously.
Very good. Well, whether it's digital, whether it's physical, whether it's the two coming together as omni-channel, the journey ahead seems a pretty exciting one to me. Stephane, I know you love your work. I know you're very good at your work, as CircleSquare is indeed, and you're helping to craft that journey of travel retail as it evolves from a very traditional channel into a very forward-thinking one. And I wish you well as that journey continues. I thank you for your time today. It's been really fascinating, Mr. Stephane Zermatten.
Thank you.
Well, after that whole fascinating look at how to communicate with the traveling consumer throughout their journey, we're going to move the attention now to how to train those staff who play such a critical role in engaging with travelers. You know, staff knowledge in sectors such as beauty and luxury is absolutely critical to the travel retail channel. Often, in fact, I would say make or break when it comes to a sale or to a happy and engaging consumer experience. But how do you train those staff during a global pandemic when you can't be with them in a room? And indeed, how is staff engagement with consumers affected by such a crisis? Well, Laurence Ouaknine, president and founder of Hong Kong-based Coeur du Luxe International, ACDL, has some of the answers. And not surprisingly, they focus around digital and technology. And I'm delighted today to talk to her about some of the really exciting developments that ACDL has brought to play. The company's mission, very much focused on Asia, is to unlock frontline staff potential through innovative training solutions and to ensure that brands deliver the right in-store experience. Laurence, welcome today.
Thank you, Martin.
So Laurence, tell us about your ACDL app, which you and I have talked about. How does that work in terms of using the power of technology to enhance the knowledge and the capability of, say, beauty and luxury frontline staff?
I think it's a very, nowadays digital learning has been in the hand of a lot of people, and recently more and more companies are decided to equip their frontliners with app, because definitively app learning is the best way to train frontliners, because it's very convenient in their day-to-day duties, and on the same time it's very scalable and effective and low cost, obviously, which is very important. There is a big trend anyhow in the e-learning. It's definitively as well to engage, not only to push knowledge, which is that our app unable to do through AI, because we can identify performance gap and knowledge gap and push the relevant trainings. But on the same time, which is very important in times like COVID, is definitively to engage the people, to create a community of learners, and to make them closer to the brand than ever. And is the way that we are doing. We can lock it with, we can monitor the performance of the people. We can as well give them the proper training. We can record their performance, and at the same time we can help anyone to connect and to communicate internationally.
Okay, well, I mentioned the global pandemic earlier. It's obviously had a profound impact on the travel retail channel, indeed on all our businesses. But one thing it has done is accelerated digital usage worldwide, from commerce, e-commerce, to communication, and in your case, to training through e-learning everywhere. Did you notice anything that was specific to the travel retail channel in terms of training and e-learning?
I really have a large range of clients and corporate and retailers, and everyone has reacted a bit differently. Obviously, it's definitively has been a tough time because we all have to sell without any client in the airport. So it's everyone has to reinvent itself, and I would not say that everyone performs that well to do so. What I notice is the reactivity, the rebound, I would say, in 2020. Some brands have been, and retailers have been very reactive and have moved very quickly all their training capabilities on e-learning. So it has been at the first some webinars, and rather than face-to-face, they move immediately to webinars. And managed to keep the link with poor frontliners, because the reality is, studentally, they had no contact. They had this social distancing rules. They had this threat of COVID. So to be able to go and to sell at the early stage of the COVID, when you don't know exactly what it is and if it's can be a risk for your life and for your health, is definitively something that we had to take into account. And through the app and through proper webinars, some companies was really reactive and managed to do some crisis management. And over the time, we noticed that the companies that was able to react very fast and to really keep the bond of people, even though they had to go through dismissal, and which makes sense considering the situation. They really engage them, and they have now a community of ambassadors, I would say. People that will not forget that they have been there for, the company has been there for them, and have been able to help them, to support them during the crisis. So I think it's a very positive message to never forget that at the end of the day, the frontliners are representing your brand, representing your store, your network, and they have to be in the core of your strategy.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about how those frontliners engage with the end consumer. And I think this is a fascinating question, and I'm sure it's been top of your mind, as it is top of mind for all brands and all retailers and airports, in fact. And I want to focus it around beauty. Now, historically, that sector in travel retail has relied on the senses, the beautiful senses, taste, of course, touch, smell, and in the case of fragrance or skincare, feel, as well as actual human engagement, the power of the smile, the power of dialogue, direct dialogue, to promote itself in store. How can digital compensate or complement this best?
First of all, in the ideal world, it's true that it's rely on 5 senses, but that the prerequisite is that people are fully trained in order to leverage these 5 senses. And I would have said that in the past, it was not always the case. So definitely digital enable everyone to be fully trained. Being said, we have noticed that the live streaming e-commerce is definitively a great way and a big trend. The latest data digit that have been communicated speak about 149 trillion US dollar. I'm like astonished myself for the 2021 in China only. So it's something that we have to take into consideration, because it's a big number, so that attracts a lot of people, and definitively the beauty industry has made a big share out of this billion-dollar industries. But that comes with how to, because this is strategy and it's a great tool, but how to is very important too. On one day, brands and retailers have to turn their brand ambassadors at frontliners into a KOL. So how to promote, how to present the product, and how to present it well, because in live streaming you have live. That means that when you don't know how to demonstrate the product, how to engage, and you are, live, it can be a very can have some damaging effect, and there is a lot of joke and videos that you can have, like people trying to demonstrate a pan or whatever, but and they fail. So preparation is always a key. You are always perfectly prepared, Martin. So we all know that live is very important, and we need to consider and to train them well. So it's what we have seen in the recent months, that the beauty industry investing massively in training to turn their frontliner into KOL and to empower them to communicate well on live stream.
Really interesting. Has that become a big part of your business that probably wasn't there until relatively recently? Of course, live streaming is a pretty modern phenomenon. So is that part of the arm of your company now?
I would say that the main trend overall is what we call new retail. Is definitively how to break the cluster between brick and mortar e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce, and live streaming, and how to link it with an overall umbrella of how to connect with your customer, how to activate your CRM. This is very important, because so far a lot of companies are focused at early stage on how to do e-commerce, how to do live streaming. And then nowadays they come with a situation where we are speaking about omnichannel, and it's very important to be able on the front line with the frontliners to connect at every step of the journey touch point. Sorry, Martin.
Okay, well, look, we talked about the acceleration of digital usage by consumers through the pandemic earlier. COVID-19 has also clearly boosted and accelerated the digital transformation of companies. My company, your company. We're talking virtually, so there's technology in the meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibition industry, the MICE industry. So the beauty sector, of course, is no exception to that. Any best practices to share, Laurence?
I would have said that being first, definitively, it's how to connect with your customer. So we have several clients that have invested massively in that, using CRM tools and boosting all this CRM ecosystem, and not only on a digital way, but as well going back to our core specialties, how to enable and support the frontline staff to use properly the tools, because it's good to have a CRM tools, but if you don't know how to ice break on which chat, how to communicate efficiently, at what time, at what pace, you don't reach the expected level. So this is definitely a first things. The second that we have noticed is to build capabilities. That makes sense, but until recently, a lot of brands, I would not say about retailers, but a lot of brands were mostly investing in product training. And when you have few travelers, you do need to maximize your basket size. You do need to increase your conversion rate. And they come to the situation to consider, okay, let's build internal capabilities. They can be generic staff, they can be dedicated staff, whatever. But we need to help them to grow and to make a career, which is in the past was a little bit not said. Okay, it's a high staff turnover, as you know, in travel retail. So this is a very positive, and I think it's as well a very clean and foundation for the travel retailers to invest in the people, to invest in their career in a proper way, and that goes through with lifetime learning. So it's definitely something that we have noticed, and we are very happy to collaborate on.
All right, Laurence. Well, I want to close by asking you to look into a crystal ball, albeit a virtual one. How do you envision 2021, what is left of it, and beyond, for a channel, a travel retail channel that has been through such a profound shock?
As previously said, I do believe that in the past, the daigous, cross-border e-commerce have definitively blurred a little bit the frontier between travel retail and local sales. I believe this pandemic will have a very positive impact on the corporates that have been able to react and rebound in a very fast and positive way. I think they will be closer than ever to their clients, because nowadays no choice than to know them. They will be closer than ever to their frontliners, the people that represent them on the floor, and therefore I foresee that in the future, when I will travel, I will be able to have the right service, a proper service with people that will be able to answer my question on the product, to keep in contact with me and provide me the experience that I deserved as a traveler.
All right. Well, we look forward to those days when we can travel, when we can meet in person. But today we've May do very well, thanks to you, Laurence, with the virtual and digital experience. Stay well, and we look forward to hearing more of your journey in days ahead. Laurence, Ouaknine.
Thank you, Martin.
And so we've talked in this session about the O2O journey, and we've talked training, each from a digital beauty and travel retail perspective. Now we're going to examine how to reach the all-important Chinese traveler through digital communication and technology. And to explore that subject that is so close to the hearts and aspirations of so many brand companies and retailers, it's my pleasure to welcome iClick Interactive Asia Group Vice President International Business, Cody Chan. Now, NASDAQ-listed iClick is a powerful, ambitious, and very fast-growing independent online marketing and enterprise data solutions provider that connects worldwide marketers with audiences in China and helps them to avoid pitfalls and maximize their reach and effectiveness. Cody Chan leads the global account management team, provides clients with data-driven omni-channel marketing and software as a service solutions in the travel retail sector. Cody, thank you for being with us at Beauty Tech Live.
Thank you, Martin. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you, Cody. Well, look, iClick, as I know from working with you in the past, it has an intimate understanding of the Chinese consumer, arguably unrivaled, I would say. Your proprietary iAudience platform, which covers staggeringly more than 940 million Chinese consumers, includes 98% of Chinese netizens. And based on that acute consumer insight, I know you provide a range of marketing and enterprise data solutions for worldwide marketers with audiences in China, and including beauty houses, of course. Now, if I marry that context with travel retail specifically, Cody, how much work are you doing with beauty brands, firstly, and what tends to be the iClick role? How do you go about advising a beauty brand, for example, that's trying to reach out to the Chinese traveler through digital technology? What's the starting point?
Okay, I see. Thank you, Martin. Maybe let me start by introducing our company service first. Okay, so actually our company core service is to provide digital solution to the global brands, so that it make them easier to market their products, their brands, or their services to the Chinese community. Okay, and we can see that China is a very huge market with a lot of opportunities. But at the time when the marketer trying to market the product in China, it may be difficult for them because of the media landscape, the cultural difference, the app that they use is totally different from the Western country, and maybe the policy as well. So in our company, we do have one special business unit, and they are completely dedicated to the overseas client, especially in the travel retail sector and what we call the cross-border business. And the service that we provide to them is, I would say, three things. The first one will be, we will provide solution to them so that we can help them to drive physical foot traffic to the physical store and sales opportunities outside of China at the time when the Chinese traveler traveling abroad. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is about e-commerce. Okay, for e-commerce, they may appoint us to help them to promote their e-commerce. But at the same time, we actually provide our service from setup, operate, and even promote the e-commerce, so that it make the Chinese more easier to access to the e-commerce platform to make purchase, so that the overseas client can send them the product to the Chinese. Okay, the third one, lastly, but definitely the least one, is about the travel retail or cross-border. We help clients to promote their product, which is available in the duty-free travel retail. And if we are speaking about the beauty brands, okay, beauty brands is actually always the top category in our clientele, I would say. For the last couple of years, I would say, we can see that so many international well-known brands, they invest heavily in travel retail sector. And at the same time, we also see that the new brands, they are setting up the, internally, they set new department to take care of travel retail. So I think the reason behind is quite simple and obvious. If we're taking some high level number, we are talking about a huge opportunity in China. There are more than 300 million females in China who aged between 20 to 15. So these are those group of people that the beauty brands are hunger for, actually. Okay, so I think many of us see the opportunities, but at the same time, the marketers see a lot of challenges as well. So this is basically our role to resolve the challenges. For example, they may ask, oh, I know that there are a number of people, number of females in China, but how do we able to locate them? How do we able to identify them? And how about if we want to further level down our specific group, let's say not 20 to 50, I want to target 20 to 30, how about 30 to 40? So these are all the questions that they have, they want to answer. And they also want to see what kind of platform should they use in China. So these are the questions that we will help our advertiser or marketer to answer them. And specifically for travel retail, they have more question as well. For example, who are they going to travel? Is there any frequent traveler? Are they business traveler? And where are they heading to? And by when they will leave the country and go to this destination? So these are all the questions. So if you ask me about the starting point, this actually really depends on the client situation and depends on what they need. And there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all solution for all of them. But actually, there is some kind of pattern. So what we usually do is we will firstly introduce the media landscape, the China media landscape to the client, telling them that what is the user behavior in China, what are the most popular app in China, and the basic do and don'ts, etc. However, most importantly, we need to understand the client's immediate needs and the long-term goal. So by then, if we get all the information, we listen to the client, we will come up with a comprehensive plan in I would say 3 aspects. So the first one will be, how do we use our big data to locate the specific potential customer? That's the first thing. And the other thing is, if we able to locate a customer, what is our media approach? Our media approach usually will be in different phases so as to provide the best customer-centric journey experience to them, so that when the user see your messages, they know what they are expecting. They know what shall they do in your platform or in your e-commerce store. Okay, so this is the things that we will do. And lastly, but not least, how do we use our technology? I will further explain it. We have some proprietary technology platform. Okay, this is not only to reach out to the customer, but also we need to monitor them, trace them, track them, and collect them so that we can further improve our future planning for the client. So for marketing portals in China, everything is rational, but it really depends. Do you have the data? Do you have the technology? Do you have the people have experience to it and the knowledge?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So no cookie cutter approach, no one size fits all, as you say.
Yes.
Look, earlier, speaking to Stephane Zermatten, we talked a lot about the shopper journey. Now, I want to kind of stay on that subject, if I may, with you, Cody. What do you see as the key touch points along that shopper journey, as it were, before, during, and even after the trip, something that some brands might forget about, that a brand, in your view, should aspire to?
Okay, so in general, the pre-trip stage is very important, I would say. So for the marketers, I think they need to pay high attention to any travel-related service in China. Home has the ability to locate the so-called confirmed traveler, because it's crucial for them, crucial for the brand, if they want to remind about their product or services right before someone depart for a trip. Okay, so this touch point is actually very effective for the brands to connect with the customer. So, but my opinion will be if your message is more personalized. I mean, if, for example, if you're pushing a message out saying that this product is available in the duty-free store in your destination, so it will be more personalized messages. Or if this product is a limited time product or edition, it will arise the user interest as well. So right before the Chinese traveling abroad, a ability to identify who is the confirmed traveler is very important. And secondly, if we talking about pre-trip, I will also recommend the social media platform or the user-generated content platform. Because right before the Chinese going to a new destination or before they depart for a new trip, they usually do a lot of research. So if you're able to put your message in a content approach and put it on a social media or the KOL or the influencer, it can deliver your message in a natural way. So this will be good. Okay, so if we talk about during trip, when the customer already in your destination, I would say we will play around with different apps. Okay, we will do some like mix and match, because some of the apps, the Chinese use it on a daily basis because it's an instant messenger app. So even though they're in China, they're traveling abroad, they need to keep the contact with their friends, chatting with friends. So those apps is definitely one of the good choice. And at the same time, there are some apps in the market specifically designed for traveler. So we can apply all those apps all together. And also, most importantly, at the same time, we will apply some kind of location-based technology. So we ensure that our message delivered to the people who is in your destination. So this will be the during trip. And relatively post trip, it will be considered, I would say, a little more complex if you really want to unleash the maximum value of a post trip or the customer life cycle. Because the best way to do is try to link it up and associate with your internal CRM system and your loyalty program. Then it will be a complete post-trip solution, I would say.
Yeah, and you're right, you use the word complex, and I guess what you're seeking to do on behalf of the brands is remove the complexity, at least from their thinking, by helping them wayfind. And in that sense, Cody, how do you actually identify how to approach that customer that you've just talked about, those various customers you've just talked about, and use each of the touch points?
Okay. Actually, what we locate the customer, we use the big data approach, because we identify customer by making use of our own proprietary Chinese consumer data set. And our data set cover like more than 940 million Chinese netizens. That's actually a lot. And beside the database, I mean, that is the source of our information. And in terms of platform, for the past couple of years, we built quite a lot of proprietary platforms, which are specifically designed for the purpose of China marketing. To name a few, we have iAudience, ISS, Insight, and SmartGo. They're quite a lot. But the most frequent platform that we use for the marketer is iAudience and ISS. Okay, iAudience itself, it is actually a market intelligence platform. It allows us and the marketer to identify more insight from the audience group. For example, the age group, the gender, the education level, and any behavior. For example, is this group of people interested in your brand? And also there's some kind of correlation that they like specific subject as well. So this will be very important for us. Especially, it can tell us more about their audience, their interests, and also if some client, they interested in content marketing approach, it also gives them the hints and the tips that what kind of subject, topic, keywords that they should produce the content in certain direction. So it can arise their customer interest as well. So this is very good. And for ISS itself, I could say this is a one-stop cross-channel targeting solution. And this is specifically built for both agency and the brand. So ISS and iAudience, actually they work hand in hand together so that they can provide an integrated and effective marketing solution for the brands. So for us, we use this kind of insight and knowledge that we capture from iAudience and ISS so that we know how to plan for our clients strategically and and we are able to make use of this information to slot into different touch points. And then we need to do some slight adjustment because, as you know, different touch points, they always have their own strength or limitation. So we will make the adjustment right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I am redefining myself as a brand company that's come to you, and I'm interested in all these touch points. What are the keys to my success and to maximizing the value that I get out of addressing those touch points? Are there cardinal rules, and are there key traps for that matter?
Okay, yes, right. Because China, there are a lot of apps, there are a lot of publishers. So actually, there are a lot of choices of touch points. And at the time, if you come up with a plan, there will be a lot of, it will result in, I would say, in many kind of different combination. So in order to maximize the value or the performance or the ROI, I would say this is very, very important to do some kind of ongoing optimization. Because even if I said this touch point usually are performing very well for one brand, it doesn't mean that it works for you. It really depends. So ongoing optimization is very important. So I would say pre-campaign planning analysis is important, but post-campaign review and optimization is even more important. So I think A/B testing is the very least that we have to do. And at the same time, apart from the media planning, I would say let's say the landing page, be it a mini program, be it a website or mobile site, no matter what the landing site is, this is very important that you need to make it very close to what the customer expect to see. Because if you have the ability to locate your target audience accurately, if you're able to provide a relevant message to them, but if you really can trigger them to visit your page, but your page is not user-friendly, it's not localized enough as they expected, they will just close it and you will lose a potential customer. So I think ongoing optimization and pay attention to the final destination of the page, this is very important.
All right. Now, Cody, I want to talk about the Chinese social and digital media landscape in general, something I work very closely with every day. And I see the incredible rate of evolution. It is moving on faster than anywhere else in the world. And that frightens some brands, I would say, that might not be, for example, Chinese language savvy in terms of assessing choice of spend and being able to evaluate ROI. So how does a brand ensure it stays up to date with that media pace and the changing consumer desires and trends, and makes its marketing investments wisely rather than throwing money into a black hole?
Yes. This is indeed a very good question, Martin. And I have totally agreed that Chinese social media, no matter social media platform or digital media landscape, are always evolving very quickly. But I can assure you the thing is, the good thing is they are always evolving in a way that providing more convenience to the user. That's true, and that's what's happening. I would say the app developer in China or the media owner in China, they are proactively always developing new ways to improve the efficiency. Okay, the aims are very clear. They want to improve the efficiency. And at the same time, for the Chinese netizen, they also tend to adopt the new technology or new way of the format or new execution very easily and quickly. They learn things very fast. I would say, for example, back to like years ago, And when we study for the client, we see that, the conversion rate on PC is higher than mobile. And then later on, the conversion rate of mobile is higher than PC. And today, you can find that most of the user make the transaction or the conversion is through app or mini program. So what we can see is the behavioral changes move along with the advanced technology development that's happening in China. So I would suggest to the brand, my advice is don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. Be responsive and face it instead. Because fortunately, when I look at all the cases previously, fortunately, in most of the cases, if the brand really want to try something new, no matter this is an execution, a new platform, or new way of doing business, it usually does not mean that they need to put a huge investment on that. But in return, I would say you're finding a key to open up a treasure box. So you may try it and you may get a very good performance or return.
Indeed. Well, Cody, that has been absolutely illuminating and fascinating. And I know the audience all around the world will have enjoyed it and found it every bit as compelling as I did. So I thank you for your time today. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Martin.
Great journey of yours, and see you soon. Thanks, Cody Chan.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
Well, that brings a really fascinating session to an end. Travel retail's tech transformation indeed, and it's happening in front of our eyes. Thank you very much to our three presenters and to you, the audience, for being with us from all around the world today. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back in a little while at 16:30 CET, adjusted to your local time, of course, around the world, for another brilliant panel that we've dubbed Shoptainment: how to make shopping online fun and boost sales through AR, virtual try-on, and live streaming. See you back here soon. Thank you.